Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Vanshika Ghai from BIT. The developer student community, Bhilai Institute of Technology, takes pride. Rishabh, he is fourth year undergrad at NIT Raipur. He brought Lawrence to his Smart India Hackathon 2020. He is one of the budding developers out there. So, starting with the details about the session, it is basically a 2-day workshop covering basic concepts and some hands on. Today is the second day, which is continuation of day 1. Everyone is required to be patient and cooperative throughout. Any questions and doubts can be put forward through chat box. Now I would request Mr. Rishabh to please start the session. Please, sir.
Thank you for the introduction. Should we wait or start with the session?
Yes, sir, we can wait for 5 minutes.
Okay, sure. Shall we start?
Yes, sir, we can start.
Okay. So let me share my screen first. Okay. So is my screen visible and am I audible enough?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure. Thanks. So yesterday we talked about how to create XML files. So basically the UI part of the application of any Android application. So first let me walk you through what I have done after this session. Basically, I have added few stuff which you guys will see in a second. So basically, I added some other like borders and just a second, I'll show. So this is the basic thing that I showed you guys yesterday. So how to create a decoration for some view that we have in Android application, and this will be the for search bar, and this will be for text, and this is a back button and nothing much. Okay, so and in the layout section, what I have done is I have completed this main activity, and what I have done, I'll show you. So this might be visible, I guess. So what I have done is I have just aligned these things a little bit and changed fonts a bit. So let's talk about this edit text. So basically, I have added few parameters here. So that is this attribute, basically hint. So what it does is it basically allows us to you must have seen in edit text, like first it shows for example, if you have some form field, then it shows email, email, and the and when you start typing your email, then it just disappears, and it just start you can just see what you are typing in there. Okay, so this is what it allows us to do. If I ignore this, or if I like just a second, what happened? Okay, so if I delete this, then the text will go, and it's just a hint, nothing else. Okay, so and second thing I added is that is IME options. So you must have seen in your keyboard, like when you are typing, so you have an enter key, right? Right at the bottom of your keyboard. So you can have different options for that, what you want to show in there, and according to that you can modify what it should do, that particularly enter key. So if you are pressing enter, so it can be just an enter key, and maybe that can change into a search bar or something else. So we have different options to change our keyboard style. So like you can see here you can go to previous, so you can modify it to go to the previous field. For example, let's say you have first name and last name, and and suppose you are in last name. So if you'll apply this, and if you'll press the enter key where your enter key is present, so what will happen is it will go to the previous edit text, that is your first name. Okay, so here what we want is the search functionality. So I change this to action search. Okay, and this input type is what I talked about yesterday a little bit. So this is just basically it will allow us to do autocomplete text and other stuff. Okay, so there is nothing much that I have changed, and this is the max line that I talked about. So it just restricts the user to write more than one line. So it won't be shown like this, but it will be just a single line. Okay, so and yesterday we were into recycler view. We saw what recycler view is going to be. So let's talk about recycler views first. Let me close all this. And let's talk about adapters. So why do we need adapters? So I just told you that if we have some set of data, and we pass it to a recycler view adapter. So what it will do is it will allow us to uh, represent that particular data using this adapter into a list form. Okay, so for that we will need a view which will be repeated according to this particular data. For example, you want to show contacts. Okay, so what you need is in the view you can have name and contact number or something like that. So and we use list when we have similar type of data and we want to show a similar structure. So for example, in the contacts app, you will have a name and contact number for every person. There won't be a contact or a section or a view where you want to show the address to. Okay, so if you'll add address to your view, then you'll have to change the data and of course your view a little bit. So it just provides you a monotonous way of representing your set of data. Okay, so this is what adapters does. And recycler view, as I said, that it helps us to recycle the views so as to save some computational time, so it's just efficient, and you just don't need to care about all those stuff because it's done by Android operating system or this recycler view in general. Okay, so and this context we talked about is everything that you see in your mobile screen, that is an activity or a fragment or something like that, but base everything that shows up at the beginning is basically an activity, which is a subclass of context. Okay, so you must be in knowing stuff about what is inheritance, right? In Java, do you guys know about inheritance, right? So basically activity class inherits from this context class. Okay, so and you can see the example of inheritance here. So what we are doing is we are just inheriting the features of recycler view adapter, which takes this is a generic parameter. I'll just talk about this in a bit. So we are just extending the recycler view adapter, which is written by, like, I can show you this, like it is written by just a second. So it is written by Google. You just don't need to like look up and understand what they have written here. So this is written by Google, and you just what you have to do is you just have to like import all this functionality that recycler view adapter provides, and build upon that recycler view so as to create what you desire. Okay, so I guess I'm clear till now. And if you guys will have any doubts, then please ask in the chat section. Okay, so let's talk about the Java section a bit more. So any any adapter, what we needed is, I said that every adapter will have some views, will create some views. Okay, so where it will feed some data. Okay, so to contain views, we need some kind of holder. Hence, we need a view holder. So we'll create a subclass. This is not like a hard and fast rule that you have to create a view holder class here. You can just go and create a new Java file and put this class there. But for simplicity purpose, I prefer to do it here. Okay, so basically this is what your view holder does. It basically provides you a way to, like, it basically provides you a way to communicate with a XML view, like whatever you are having here, like. And I forgot this, like, I have changed this a bit. This is nothing but I'll talk about card views in a second. So this is nothing but a recycler view. It just contains some image which is empty, you can see, right? And I'll talk about this too. And this is just a text view with few attributes that I talked about: max lines, ellipse size, font family, and like nothing fancy. This background, I said that, and we are just adding a decoration to this text view. Basically, this is background text that I talked about. This is what you can see. You can create shapes, and you can give it some background color, and I preferred a black color with some opacity. That's why it's looking a bit gray. And we can add some radius to it, so like it helps us to create this corners. Okay, so I guess that part is quite understood. And what this adjust view bounds does, so basically if you have some kind of image, and that this may happen, right? Like it may be of different resolutions. Okay, so what this thing does is it helps us to adjust this particular image view according to the image that has been provided by the user. For example, let's say if some image has an aspect ratio of 16 is to 9, and some may have aspect ratio of 4 is to 3, sorry. So it will adjust this image view irrespective of the height and width that it contains to this aspect ratio, so it will look a bit more clean and elegant. So this is what it does. So basically it adjusts the bounds to according to the image that has been provided to this image view. Okay, so and what is this card view? You must have seen, you must have used music apps, so where you are provided some uh, like currently playing song, and then you can swipe it and you can change the song. So basically the view that you see right in front of you, basically that is the poster of that particular song. So that can be represented as cards. Okay, so what are the advantages of using cards over normal views? Basically it provides some extra functionality. Okay, so what extra functionality does it provide? So it, you can see here, like it provides some elevation, so it gives a little bit of 3D effect, you can say. And there are other attributes that it provides, like you can of course check it out and figure out what suits best for you. So for example, I have used app card corner radius. So previously what I was doing is I was to add some decoration in a particular view. What I was doing is I was creating a different drawable, right? So I was creating a different drawable, and what I was doing is I was integrating that drawable here. But this is the beauty of card view, that it provides functionality that you can set the radius here right now. So that's why I have used cardio. There's nothing special about it. I could have used a linear layout here, and then I could have again added some kind of decoration. So like this is it. So what is this basically? So what we'll do is we'll have some set of data which will consist of a particular image, and it will have some image, and we'll have some text. Okay, so what we'll do is, what our recycler view will do is, like on bind view holder, we'll talk about on bind view holder. Okay, then I'll come to this. I'll revise on this topic too. So what does on bind view holder? This you must be seeing, like it gives you a view holder and a position. What do you mean by this? Suppose, for example, you have a list of images, a list of some objects, let's say you have an object. Okay, and this is some kind of list. And if you have and suppose this object contains two members, that is image, URL, or text, then what it will do is we'll provide this list in this constructor. Okay, so that a recycler view must be aware of, recycler view must be aware of how what data it should operate on. And here we'll provide the item count. What do I mean by item count? So basically we'll have to tell this recycler view that basically this is the number of item that we are going to have. For example, let's say we have 50 items, so we'll pass on 50 items. So it will call on bind view holder 50 times when the user will scroll, of course, when it will be needed. Okay, so if the user screen can accommodate, like if this is the user screen. Okay, and if it can accommodate, let's say 7 items. Okay, so it will call for first 7 items first for that particular list. For example, let's say this list size is 50. For example, let's say the list size is 50. So it will call this on bind view holder for 7 times first. And then what it will do is, once the user will start scrolling down, and it will again start calling for after 7. Okay, so it may call for like 7 to 14 or something like that. Depends on how much the user has scrolled. But we don't that's the beauty of ice recycler view, that you don't need to care about all these calculations or other stuff. Android does the job for you. So basically the idea here is that what this on bind view holder will do is, it will give you a view corresponding to that particular positions. For example, user has scrolled 7 up. Okay, 7 views up, and we are at this particular position, let's say. So what does this correspond to? This correspond to eighth item of that list, right? I guess I'm clear. For example, here the list starts, and we are showing 7 items, and let's say user scrolls all the way up right here. So let's say we have eighth item here. So what it will do is it will pass this 8 as the position, and this particular view holder here, so that we can plug the specific items into that view to show, right? For example, here we'll plug that eighth image and eighth text here, and it will be shown to the user. Okay, so that's why I have made a image view and a text view. Okay, so that we can so be you must have guessed this, right? That our recycler view will be a set will contain a list of objects which will have a image URL, or maybe some kind of image, and a text. Okay, so that we can plug it here. So let's just jump right into like how will we create list. Okay, so before that, before talking about that, I'll just talk about on create view holder. So on create view holder, what it does is it just in the main activity, what we have done is, it is a boilerplate code first of all. So what it has done is it has set the layout right here. Okay, so this corresponds to the main activity as I talked about yesterday. So what it will does is this will do the parsing operation of that XML file and create view object out from it, directly from it. But we don't have such functionality available in view adapters. Okay, so because adapter is not a UI component, it just helps you to create the UI. So just don't get uh, like confused with that. Okay, so adapter just provides a way to create a UI. No, it's not a UI component. Okay, but the activity is a UI component. So basically we have so when it is not able to fetch that XML file, so how do we fetch that XML file and make a view out of it? So what we have is we have a layout inflator. Okay, so we have a layout inflator class. What it does, it take is it takes the context, basically this activity it will take. So basically it will command this activity that, hey, come on, inflate this XML file for me, which basically redirects to this. You can say the names are same, images recycler view layout. Okay, and it will basically command the main activity. If we'll pass the main activity here, so it will say that, hey, come on, please parse this XML view and convert it into a view object. And for a while, we are sure, and here what will happen is main activities parent. I'll show you which one is parent. So this relative layout is the parent of this main activity. So this will be passed here because this recycler view will belong to this parent. Okay, so recycler view is here. So this is its parent. So parent will be passed here. So you can say the namings are quite convenient here. So this we will have to pass this, and we don't want to attach is right now and then to the root, that is the parent. Okay, so hence we pass false here. Okay, so this is it about creating a view, and we'll just make a view holder out of this. Basically we'll just do a new, this is how you create objects in Java. You use a new operator, and you'll just pass on the class name. It has a constructor. This is basically the constructor. It takes a view object, so you will pass a view object, and we are good to go. Now how do we point to this image and text view? Okay, so let's do that. So for that, let's make it a bit simpler. So for that, what we'll do is we'll create an image view object and a text view object in our Java class. So what we'll do here is we'll create, and now why I'm creating it here, because this view contains this text view and image view. That's why I'm defining everything here. So let's say we have text view here, like import class. By the way, I just press alt enter and it just imports everything right for me. Okay, so we had image view right here, so we'll create an image view. Okay, So, and yesterday I told you that to really get what that text view and image view will contain, we need something called find view by id, right? I told you that we call this function, and what it does, it just fetch this particular view and uh, give it instance, okay, right here. But you can see that the red squiggly lines here, it is marked as red, so you don't have this functionality available here. So what we can do here is, we'll just say that, hey, text view will be item view dot find view by id, and this is quite an r.id. What was its id? Text view's id is rv images text view. Okay, so we'll just pass this here. Okay, so we are done. And why find view by id is provided by view? Because this view, this text view and image view are contained by some parent view. Okay, so this is basically, this whole layout is your view. Okay, because we have inflated it here, we have inflated this whole layout here, and we have passed this view here, and we are just having the instance of this particular view here. Okay, so we can say that, hey, fetch this child, fetch this child of yours by this id, particular id. So what it will do is, it will go down its tree, like child tree. Basically this is child, this is parent, and these are the child. So it will go down the child tree, and it will fetch this view here, and it will assign it here. Okay, so let's fetch image view right now. um, are we images view, I guess. I images. Guys, are you like following me till now? Please tell me, like, if you have any doubts. Hello.
Yes, sir, we are following you. There are no doubts in chat box.
Okay, thank you. This is how you get the instances of basically, you create a whole view here. Okay, and we have successfully fetched this particular uh, text and a particular image. Okay, so the next step is feeding as correct data to this text and image. So how do we do that? First of all, I was talking about passing on a list of objects. Okay, so we'll just pass this list of objects. Basically, this will contain our data. So what it will contain, I said that it will contain maybe a url to this image and a particular text. So how do we do that? For that, we create pojos. Basically, what are pojos? So that these are nothing but fancy name for plain objects, as something like that. It's just basically as container class, you can say, in Java. So what it will contain, it's just simple thing. So what do we call those type of classes which contain a specific data? Is models. So that's why I have created a folder here named models. So we'll just create a new Java class. So I'll just name it, just a second, give me a moment. We'll just we'll just name it image metadata. Okay, so you guys must be aware of what is metadata. So this is metadata, and what do we need it here? We need a string which represents our image URL. That's what I said. And we need some one another string which represents our text, basically image text. Or for instance, we are going to have a photographer name here. So I'll just do this. Okay, and if we press alt and insert here, so it will give us a constructor if we want. So we'll just have a constructor, and we can select these two, and like this constructor is basically created. So the command for this is alt plus insert. You can like mess with these things. And we'll add one more thing. Basically, this is string. So this will basically help us to debug this particular class. So whenever we'll have some object of this particular class, then we can say that, let's say we have an object imd, so we can be just like call this to string and it will print into our log console, so like this log console. So it just make things more convenient. Okay, so there's nothing special about this, and it requires something else, that's why it's highlighted. So like, let's fix this. So we need a list of these objects which will contain these two strings. So let's pass, and this is how you create a list in Java. And this is basically generics. So you guys must be aware of generics, that generics are basically allows you to construct a piece of code which is independent of data type. Okay, so you can write anything here, you can write int here, you can write string here, or you can write just any object here. Okay, so then you'll be ready to go. And what was our uh, this is image metadata. Okay, so like let's import list too. So we have imported list here. So what do we need here? So there might be instances when this will be null. Okay, so this may be null. So if our data is null, then just pass 0. Otherwise it will try to like return something from here, and then your app will crash. So that's why we are just for safety purpose. Okay, so like data dot size. So the amount of data that it is going to contain is the amount of data that we are going to have, or that is the amount of data that we are going to have in our list. That's why we are passing this data dot size. And we need some way to set this data. So like we'll create a public method here. So public void, and basically this is ternary operator. Okay, so this is just a replacement of if else statement. So this makes it more, this makes your code more elegant. So set image, like let's say for example, and what do we need is list of image metadata and data. Okay, so we just have to this dot data and data. So basically this belongs, and this corresponds to this list, and this data is this data. So after this, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to call this particular function. So what does this function do? Okay, so if you have a recycler view, okay, so you have a recycler view for example, and a recycler view contains some data. Let's say for it may be empty recycler view, or it contains some data. We don't really have to go or talk about that in general. So for that, for example, we have certain data in our recycler view, and it's showing a list here. And suppose our user wants to get that list updated. For example, we are talking if we are talking about contacts app. So what will happen is, if you have, let's suppose 200 contacts, and you added some extra contact, or one more contact, then you want that list to be updated, right? So what you say this here is, hey, please notify, please note, when you are calling this function, this is pre-implemented function in the recycler view. Okay, so what it will do, it may be sounding quite overwhelming at the beginning, but you can just go and see the documentation, or you can just watch, you can just refer to the links I'll provide at the end, and you'll be good to go. So you just don't have to like remember everything right here. You just have to understand what's going on, and that's it. Okay, so and with practice you'll be able to understand that what I'm saying, or how am I able to remember all this. So let's say for example, you added some more data. So you want your adapter to be aware that data has been changed. Okay, so this is how you inform that adapter that, hey, data has been changed. So there are other notifications that you can give to that adapter. For example, if you have removed some item from that list, okay, and you know some position that, hey, let's say we have removed some item from position 6. So we can say that, hey adapter, please, item at position 6 has been removed, so please update the view according to that. Okay, so it will just remove that data at position 6 or view at position 6, and we'll be good to go. Okay. So right now here we don't know what its size is and how much change we have done. So we just call a generic or a general function which says that data has changed, but I am not sure about it. So please check. But something has changed here. So let's say now here will be binding the data. Okay, so like we have this text view and image view here, and you will be able to see here that this is the same class that we are referring to here. So what it does, it on bind view holder gets called every time user scrolls up, scrolls down, or it may be called 1,000 times. I don't know, like it's quite random, and it depends on the necessity, that necessity, how many times it must be called. So here you set that particular data corresponding to a particular position to this view. Okay, so how do we do that? So again, we'll do some null checks here. If data is not equal to null, okay, so if data is not equal to null, then what do we want here is we want image URL. Okay, so image URL, and we will say that okay, so we what do we want? We want to get data at that particular position, and we want that image URL from that. Okay, and the second thing that we want is photographers name, and what do we want here is position and photographer's name. So we got it. And how do we access this image view and text view so that we can set the data? So it's quite simple. So you can just be like holder dot text view dot set text. Basically like holder dot text view helps you to get this particular instance, like, and this is the text view. If I'll change it to something else, so you will have to change it here also. So basically text view allows you to set text. Okay, so like you can say that, hey, set text. So you can write here like photographer's name, and you are done. You have set text in this particular position to the photographer's name corresponding to this particular data item. Okay, so now let's talk about image, how to set an image. So I'll say that I'll just show you my build.retrofit file. So I have changed it a bit. We'll talk about this retrofit version, retrofit thing in a moment. So what are we going to do here is we'll talk about glide. What glide does is it provides a way, because images may be huge, right? It may be of some MBs, right? And nowadays images of 24 MBs or like 36 MBs. And if you are suppose loading 30 items on your screen, so that is 24 times 30, right? So it gets really it will take really a large amount of time to render such information, or that amount of data. So what do we do is we basically use a library which is of course open source, or free to use, you can say. So library's name is glide. So it basically allows you to load images faster. Okay, so it does not have any like other thing that it does. It does not do any other stuff, but it just allows you to load images faster, and it allows you to basically perform basic operations on image easily. So for example, I'll show you. We need an instance of glide. Okay, so we need an instance of glide, and again it requires some context. Okay, so that's why we have it here too. Okay, so we will need a context. And if you like, what do you want to load is just basically what do you want to load. So you can pass a URL here, you can pass a image file here, and you can pass anything here. Okay, so like I'll just talk about this fit center and just a second. I'll come back. So center. So center crop and fit center, I'll talk about this in a second. And what do you want, into what you want to load this image? So we want to load this image in our image view basically. So yeah, we are good to go. And let me make it more readable for you guys. So like this is it. And as I talked about in the a few minutes back, that image may be of different sizes, right? So it may not be possible for the image view to contain that particular that full image. So basically what this center crop does is it basically crops the image and tries to fit in the center of that image. So basically if you have a very huge image, okay, so and if you have a small image view, so it basically will try to crop this big image in the center, and it will try to fit that image right in your small image view. So basically it just helps you to fill the image view more efficiently. Okay, so you guys can experiment with this. You guys can comment this out and check it out, like whether it is still working or not, and what changes can be, oh, what changes have been done if you remove this. Okay, so for the example, we will just go on with this. So let's say this is here. Okay, so this is basically a null check, and we got everything right here, and we were able to successfully set what our data, we were able to successfully set our correct data corresponding to that particular position in our view. Okay, so this is basically about your okay. So guys, please ask if you have any doubts regarding recycler view, or whatever we have talked about till now. Then we'll proceed to network calls, or REST APIs. We'll talk about REST APIs and other stuff. So are you guys clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay, so I guess we are good to go. And let's talk about APIs. What are APIs? So like this is the view adapter, and we'll use this in a second. So just don't worry about that. And share my full screen so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, entire screen. Okay, so we'll just go to Pixel's official site. So there they have, like, we can go to APIs or read the documentation. So what is an API? Okay, so API stands for app. Like, I'll just use this to explain you guys stuff. So what is an API? API stands for basically application package interface, and it basically provides you a way to for two softwares to communicate with each other. So for example, you have a software one here and software two here, and it provides a it acts as an interpreter. So for example, let's say you have you are this person and you know how to speak English, and for example you meet some guy who speaks in Chinese. Okay, so you need some kind of interface between you two guys to interact, right? So similarly in softwares you need some kind of interface to talk between different softwares. Okay, so hence you need some kind of application package interface, and let's dive deep into that. So what do I mean by this? So let's say you have a server. Okay, sorry, you are creating your app. Okay, and for example you want some kind of streaming service, for example, like, okay, so for, let's say you want some map features. Okay, so what you will do is Google must have created, and for example you are using Google Maps for this, Google Maps, you'll use Google Maps for this. So what you will do, what do you don't want to do is you just don't want to go and create your own Google Maps, right? That is quite tiresome and that's quite expensive process. So you don't want to do that. Instead, what do you want to do is you want your app to communicate to this Google Map thing. You want you to this to communicate to your to the Google Map through some kind of predefined standard procedures that will be defined by the Google engineers, of course, so that there you can have a efficient way to communicate and get your work done. And what are the other advantages of APIs? That suppose if you want just a positioning system. Okay, so if you just want in your app to like give some coordinates, and you want this to get converted into some place. Okay, so you just want Google Maps specific positioning feature. Okay, so you don't want Google Maps suggestion feature or routing feature. So that gives you a bit of flexibility. That and if suppose if you change your mind and you want to use some kind of geographical features or routing features, so you can of course do that. So basically API provides a flexible way to communicate, and you can be you can have on demand code. So whatever will be your demand, you can just say like, hey, I want this, and I want this feature related to you. So then you can fetch that thing. So basically this is your API. And uh, and what is REST API? Okay, so what is REST API? Okay, so as the name suggests, this is some kind of we'll talk about this in a second. So this is API. So this provides you the way, this will provide you a way to communicate with some piece of software. So here what we are talking about is, here we are talking about server and client architecture. So okay, so if you have some kind of server here and there is some kind of client, so if you want to have this relationship of server and client, so for that you need REST APIs. Okay, so what does REST means? So this is represent representational uh, representational state representable sorry table representable state transfer. So what does this mean? It basically allows you, or basically it provides you a way to communicate. Like for example, you are creating an app and you want some data from some server, so REST API provides you a way to communicate or fetch that information from the server seamlessly. Okay, so and there are a few other keywords that we like listen or that's important. So that is JSON, and the other thing is HTTP. And you guys must be aware of this HTTP. So this is nothing but hypertext transfer protocol. So it is just a protocol which allows you to communicate under some constraints. Okay, so it just allows you to communicate under some constraints. So what is JSON? What is JSON? So JSON is nothing but for example, whatever you have in your Java, so whatever you will be writing in your Java program or whatever, so that will be objects, right? Objects. And it will be really inefficient to say like, I want to transfer this whole object to some server. So for example, if you are uploading some data, okay, so if you are signing into some app, and it will be really inefficient to just transfer this whole object to server. Okay, so what do we need is, we need some kind of representation, or we need some kind of encoding, so as to make this process more seamless and more efficient. Okay, so hence we need a javascript object notation. So it just, what it does, it allows you to represent a data or set of data or an object in form of strings. Okay, so I'll just show you how a JSON JSON string looks like. String example, JSON string looks like. Uh, and it is of course, as the name suggests, it is inspired by the JavaScript, from the JavaScript. Hence it is JavaScript object notation, which is and I'm pretty sure that everybody uses REST APIs and communicates, and there is a communication going on between client and server through JSONs. Okay, so whatever you do is, you from you are in client and you want to send some information to server, so uh, you will send a JSON string to the server, and whatever this request that will server give back to you, will also be in form of some JSON. So basically this is some kind of middle language, or you can say that more convenient encoding to communicate between these two. Okay, so and these just provides an interface. REST just provides an interface. So this is it. Okay, so basically these are the all JSONs. Let me just copy this on. So this is like JSON. So this is how your JSON looks like. You may be seeing this quite often. So this just contains, and one more thing, in JSON you have everything in form of key value pairs. So this is key and this is its value. Okay, so like this is the key, and like this is its value. Oh, sorry, this is its value, and we have city and like its value. So basically this is how your JSON string looks like. You have a key and you have a value, and again you have a key and you have a value, and so on and so forth. Okay, and there is one more thing that is that you can represent here is arrays in JSON. So how you represent arrays? For example, you have a like a list, key as a list. So you represent arrays in form of this square brackets. Okay, so you can add like more information here, or you can create more objects here. So I guess JSON, how a basic JSON formatting looks like, that might be clear. And what are the REST APIs, and what is JSON, and HTTP is basically a protocol. So basically, if you are communicating, you want to communicate, server and client. Basically, if they want to communicate, so there must be a protocol between them so that they can communicate efficiently. Okay, so just please tell me, guys, if you have understood so far. Uh, like, is everything clear? Like JSON and other stuff, JSON, REST APIs, and what is an API in general, and other stuff, please.
Yes, sir.
Uh, rest of you guys, is it clear, or like I have to explain few things more? Okay. One guy responded. What we can do more with APIs. Okay, what we can do more with APIs. Basically, APIs allows you to like I'll just talk about that a bit more. So what we can do about more to about APIs. So basically, it allows you to use some other software in your software uh, through some standard rules that the other person has set. For example, I gave you an example of like a map, Google Map, and you using it. So Google must have set some rules like how to use its API and Google Maps API. So you will use those rules, or you will use certain parameters that they have set to use it in your app. So you just, what do you want? What is the problem here? Okay, so you just want a specific service. Okay, so in this example, it's a positioning service or some other thing, and you don't want to write that much code, or you just don't want to create another software to support that service. Okay, because that somebody has already created that. Okay, so for example, you guys must be aware of STL library, in like this is that is some different example, I'm sorry. So suppose you want some kind of authorization mechanism. Okay, so authentication mechanisms. Okay, so authentication, you want some authentication in your application. So what you will do is you will do is, you don't want to implement this authentication thing by yourself. So what do you do is, you use Facebook's API or WhatsApp's API, so that you guys can authenticate the user. So you are just using some service, you just want to use some service, and for that you need APIs. Okay, so this is just basically how do we create APIs. Okay, how do we create APIs? So if for example, if you have like created some piece of software and you want other person to use it. Okay, so what you will do is, you will create basically it's just like creating I'll just show you by example. Okay, so I'll remember this question and I'll show you how to create an API. Not exactly I'll create an API, but I'll create something related to it. Okay, so just bear with me. I'll just come to this how to create APIs thing in a moment. Okay, so and other stuff that you guys want to ask, or is the thing clear, everything clear? So just you can ask me. So if okay, so these are all about APIs and other stuff. So I'll just show you how to create APIs, but before that, what I want to show you is this build.gradle file. I have changed something else in that. So when you are creating some piece of software and you are writing some production level code, so you just don't create softwares and just publish it. Okay, so there are different like processes that you have to go through. So there is some debug thing going on, and then you finally release it after few layers of testing. So suppose if you have some string or some parameter which are you going to use in your application, which may be different for your testing purpose and which may be different for your release purpose, or when other users are going to use it. Okay, so usually we have this kind of thing. So for example, you have some base URL string and that you want to use in your app, and you what you want to do is basically when you are creating this thing, right? So you must be doing the testing or the API testing or whatever the testing that you are doing in your local platform. Okay, so in your, you may be doing it that in your laptop. So this may not be same, this may be something different. So this may be HTTPS something, some code like this, like example this. So you don't want to call the main server again and again because you are just testing your data. Okay, so you are just testing your application. Okay, so if we do not have this thing right here, so what problem do we have? So we'll have to create multiple URLs, like multiple string with different names. You cannot have the same thing, same, like same naming for different uh, data. Like for example, you cannot write like string like base URL, sorry, base URL is equal to some a, and then you cannot again write some base URL is equal to b. So what it will do is it will show you an error. Okay, so you want to separate these two things when you are debugging and releasing your code. Okay, so hence we have this build types. So when you are releasing your application, you want your application or app to call to some other URL, and when you are debugging your code, you want to call to some other URL. Okay, so hence we can have different values. So what it will do is whenever you will be running your app locally or in debug mode, so what it will do is it will again it will what it will do is it will assign this base URL this particular thing, or this particular URL. Okay, it won't care about this. It will just discard this particular statement or this particular line, and you will be good to go here. But when you will be releasing your app, right, so what you want to do is you want to call to the main server and you want real things to happen. So hence you will write this here. So when you will be releasing your app, you will, when you will run your code in release mode, when you will be publishing it to the Play Store, so what will happen, it will discard this piece of code, and it will just initialize the base URL with this value. So it just makes it easier for us to remember things this way. Okay, and how do we access this base URL in our Java code? Because this is some Gradle file, right? So how do we access this thing in our Java code? So let's say, let me uh, put this back here. So what do we have is in our Java code, how do we access this? We have something called build config. Okay, so we just want to have build configuration, and if we say like what this was base URL, right? So this is how you access this code. This is giving you errors right now because it has not generated this file yet. But once you will press this like when you will run this app, so it will it will generate this particular build config file according to the configuration that you have provided and the way that you are running here. So suppose you are running in debug mode, so it will generate that build config file, and it will put this string there. uh, this will put the string there and initialize with this particular value. Okay, so we haven't run the app yet, hence it is showing some errors, so just need not worry about that. But I just want you guys to know the basic concept of this, like what's going on here. So let's just talk about retrofit. What is retrofit, and what is JSON, and what is HTTP, TP, and what are interceptors and other stuff that is going on here. First, let's look to what pixels have to offer us. Okay, so if you will look here, if you'll go to this, and basically you'll have to sign in to this pixels site, and you just have to go to that API site, and it will give you a authorization token here, and you can put it here. I'll just you can create some other things and string, and this will be some, let's say, token. Okay, so just put that token here. Oh, put that token here, and you'll be good to go. Otherwise, why do we need tokens? Okay, so that thing I also want to touch upon. So what's going on here is, let's say are you are a client and you want to communicate to some server, and you want to fetch some information from that server. Okay, so how will the server know that you are a authentic user? Okay, you are not some random guy trying to like spam the server, or you just want to extract some malicious information, or you just want to do malicious things with the information that is in the server. So what does server does, it provides you with a token. It's just like let's say you are a normal person, and uh, okay, you are a person, and let's say you have a bank account. You go to a bank, and how does bank knows that you are the correct person, and you if you want to do some transaction, if you want to like withdraw some money. Okay, so how will the bank know that you are the correct person, or you are the authentic person? So for that, bank provides you with some kind of uh, like passbooks, right? Passbooks are there, and it needs some kind of authentication, authorization mechanism, so that bank can identify that, okay, so you are the correct person, and you have every detail right here in your passbook, so I can allow you to fetch that information, or I can allow you to fetch that particular service, so you are good to go. So similarly, when we are talking about server client architecture, so what you need every time you make a request, you need to tell the server that, hey, I am the one who you have authorized earlier, so here is the token that you have provided me, just like the bank example in which the like bank will provide you with the passport, so server will provide you with some kind of token. So you will just say that, hey, I am this person, and you have provided with some with this token, and please let me access this particular information, and please let me have this service that you have to offer. So this is basically tokens allows you to like build a trust between server and client. Okay, so this is what token is about. And every time I'll and what it will do is, and now you'll say that, hey, I can generate some fake tokens, and how will the server be knowing that I am the correct person? Same as the bank example. So if you go with some fake passbook, so what does the banker like bank person will do is, it will just authenticate that whether your account number really exists or not, or you are fake person or not. Similarly, what if you'll provide server with some token, so what it will do is, it will just say that, wait just a second, I'll let me authenticate, or let me authorize, let me authorize that you are like authentic, or a real person or not, or I have have I really verified you to allow this to access this services or not. So it will have some data here, so it will just go to that data and it will verify this token, and everything is all right, then you can process on with your request. But if things are fishy here, so then it server will say that no, I cannot allow you to access that particular information, because you don't exist in my data set here. Okay, so this is what that's why you need a token. So similarly, for that authorization purpose, pixels also allows you to pixels also allow you some kind of authorization token. Okay, so I have generated mine, so I won't be sharing that with you. Okay, so like I'll just like just a second, I'll just copy and paste my authorization token right there. So just a second, guys. I'll just copy and paste it. So yeah, just a second. Yeah. Mm, okay. Just a second. Hmm. So it will provide you with some token, and you can paste it in your build.gradle app that I talked about earlier, and you'll be good to go. And I'll be sharing this codes link afterwards, so that you can like GitHub link, so that you can access this. Okay, so let's make this final. So how to access this API? So what I said, that the person who has created this API will decide that how you are going to access that particular information. Okay, so here the pixels has already decided that how you want to access that particular information. Okay, so this is all free, so you don't have to pay some charge, any charges for that. So for the example purpose, we are going to have this for photos. We are going to fetch photos from this pixels library. Okay, so here you can see some JSON stuff here. So we have this is what I showed you, right? This is a key, this is a value, this is a key, this is a value, and we have a src. So this is what your array is, or some other object is. Every JSON string or every object is represented by this curly brace. So this is going to be some other object, and this is some parent object, and in the end these are all strings. Okay, so this is basically a more readable, or this is readable for human beings to this is for human beings to understand that whenever you see a curly brace, you can say that okay, this is completely an object. Okay, and when you'll see a curly brace here also, you can say that okay, this is also an object. And if you will see wait just a second, I'll show you. If you'll see see something like this, like a square bracket, then you can say that okay, so this is a list of objects that I'm going to have. List of objects. So list is represented by this, and object is represented by this, and in the end this is all going to be a single string. Okay, so how to access this pixels API, or how to call this? So before diving into this, I'll just talk about what is retrofit. So I have included a retrofit here. Like this is a retrofit here, and this is what you have to implement. Or this is a retrofit is again a library that we have to use. We don't have to care about like whether it how it does the operation, but I'll just tell you what goes on behind this. Sorry. So basically, what is a retrofit? What is a retrofit? Okay, so retrofit is a REST client. Okay, so what do I mean by this? So basically, retrofit is a library which allows you to set up a server client architecture, or it basically allows you to fetch some data from server using some this REST API that we have. Okay, so basically this is called REST API. Okay, so just don't get confused with this. So this is a REST API. This is I mean, this is REST API is not a particular thing, but this whole thing is a REST API. You may have IMDb API also, so that will also be a REST API. Okay, so that. So basically, Retrofit is a REST client which allows you to communicate between server and the client, that is you, through you using some using another library, that is OKHTTP. Okay, so you must have seen there, like I have used OKHTTP, like I have implemented this HTTP also. Okay, and there is something called interceptors. So what is the interceptor? What is an interceptor? Interceptor means intercept, like translation for intercept means like you are literally converting, or you're literally blocking some information and processing it and sharing it further. So how does this fit into this context? Okay, so what's going on right here is, so suppose we make a request, and we want to log this request. Okay, so we want that request to be shown here so that we can see that whether we have sent a correct request or not. Okay, so how would we know about that? So hence we need a logging interceptor. Okay, the logging interceptor. So what it will do is, it will, whenever you will make a request, okay, so whenever you will make a network call or request to some server, so it will, what it will do is, it will just print that information right here so that you can see that whether you have done correct things or not. Okay, similarly, if server responds with some response, okay, so it is a server response, it gives a response, and if we want to print that response, that whether I am getting a correct response or not, whether I am getting a correct information or not, so you again need a logging interceptor for that, so that you can like log that particular information right here so that you can see that what's going on behind the scenes. Okay, so basically Retrofit is a REST client which uses OKHTTP in the backend, so to implement this information. And one more thing that I have implemented is JSON converter. So when we were talking about JSONs, okay, so what was the issue here? So we needed some kind of uh, mechanism to convert the normal Java objects into JSON strings, right? Like we wanted some mechanism to convert this object into some JSON strings, some JSON string. So what Google did is, this is Google's string object notation. So what Google did is, it created its own library. Okay, and what this library does, it takes a Java object as an input and creates an JSON string out of that. Okay, so this is all about JSON. So it does nothing. It takes an object and it converts into a JSON string. Okay, and why do we need interceptors? Whenever we want to do something about the request sent from the client and a response from the server, we want to do something about it, then we use some kind of interceptor. For example, we are using some logging interceptor here. And for example, you want you want, if you want to have okay, so this is about it. So let's just I'll just paste some code, and like we'll be good to go with that. So just a second, I'll show you some stuff. Just a second, it's taking some time to process that. uh, wait a second. So I'll share my screen again. Okay, so I guess that will be visible. So what I did is I have created this class and I'll explain this what is going on here. So like this is base URL. Okay. So what I said is, okay. So what we are doing is what I'll just show you like okay. I'll just show you what I am doing here is this is a singleton class. Singleton class means that you will just have a single instance throughout the whole program. Hence, the constructor here is private, and you can get the instance through this get instance method. So this is basically your client or like singleton class. This throughout your whole program, it is going to give you same instances because we don't want multiple instances in our program because that's unnecessary. Okay, so what's going on here? So what it does is, as I told you, like retrofit is a client which uses OK HTTP as a to do some task with that. So like this is a like quite boilerplate code that you will see in their website or documentation. So I just like copy and paste it. So it does nothing but creates an HTTP client, okay, through some builder. And this is the thing I was talking about. So what we'll do is we'll create a logging interceptor, okay, and we'll set that what do we want to exactly log or show in this log cat file. So there are different things that you can show. If you'll say that none, then it will print nothing in that, and if you'll say headers, then it will print headers there, basic information, or we want to print body here. Okay, so like, okay, so we just created an instance of logging interceptor, and we'll just add that interceptor to our HTTP client. So this is our client, so I will add that in interceptor. So whenever you will make any request through this client, so this interceptor is going to get triggered, and it will print this that information right here. Okay, so I have made another interceptor. So what it is going to do is it will pull out that request, okay, and it will add this header. Oh, now what is header? So I told you about that bank and like you example. So there what you were showing is you were showing passbook, right? Here what you have to show is some kind of authorization token. So basically before even considering you, what the banker does is it said that show me your passbook. Okay, so again similarly, if you are talking about client and server, so if you want to fetch some information from the server, so what it will do is it will before even listening to your request or before even considering your request, what the server will say that, hey, give me authorization token. So that's why it's called a header. So this is the information that you have to pass at the very beginning of your request. So as the name says, this is a header. So here in the pixels documentation, I'll just show you what their sample request look like. Okay, so this is what they said here. So whenever just forget about this. So whenever you are making a request, so what they said is just pass this information, because this is going to be a JSON, so you need a key value pair. Okay, so key, and one more thing, whatever you are setting the key here is going to be same here also. Okay, so you can't be like server knows this thing by authorization, and you are making you are sending some auth or something short form of that. So make sure that whatever server has defined, you have to send information in that particular format. Okay, so you just add a header here, and you'll just pass in that token. So next time whenever you will be making any request, so what it will do is it will automatically attach this authorized token into your JSON request that you will send. Okay, so this just make things easier for you. Okay, so this is what your and basically this is connection timeout. So if a server is not responding, or you are not able to write something on the server, or you are not able to read some information, so you just need some kind of timeout. So like, come on, like server is down or something else, you can print here, and we'll just return this HTTP client to this retrofit class. So what it will do, we just created a HTTP client here. It will just call this function that I have defined below. So what it will do is, it will create a retrofit object and pass a base URL here. So for instance, we had like API 1 dot pixels.com slash something. Okay, and you must have seen our URL like this, URL like this. So for example, here, this thing is common for every request that you are going to serve. This second thing may or may not change, so hence you need a base URL. Okay, so this is basically a base URL, and you need to pass on that client, HTTP client here. So this is calling this HTTP client function, and you will pass this instance of the client here, and you will add a converter. What you will do is, you will add a converter, JSON converter. So basically that's what I said, that it is like JSON is, you can basically every time you can just copy and paste this code, but I am just telling you guys just for the information sake. So it will just pass a new factory or a new converter, so that every time you pass a object to this retrofit class, so that it can pass it to this JSON thing, and say that, hey, come on, I have this is my object, so please convert it into JSON so that I can send it to the server. Okay, so this is nothing but simple stuff going on here, and we'll just return this here. So this is your app client, and this is how your app client is going to look. I'll just share the code there. So let's come to this, how to, and there are, of course, I just forgot to tell you this, there are four kind of requests. Basically that's what backend developers call CRUD. Okay, so what is CRUD? Create, read, create, read, update, delete. Okay, so read, update, delete. So basically you can perform four operation in the server. You either you will be creating some data, or you will be reading some data, or you will be updating some data, or you'll be some deleting some kind of data. Okay, so here, what are the get and post things? So in order to read some data, we make a get request. Okay, and if we want to create some data, or we want if we want to create some data, so we make a post request. So here we want to fetch data. Okay, so what we will do here is, we will make a get request. Okay, and now I'll show you what's going on here. So let me show you how it is going to look like. Just a second. So this is what the sample in the pixels official site looks like. Okay, so you need, and whenever server will be serving your request or giving you some response, so it will send you some string, right? Because you are communicating through strings. So you are going to again need some kind of conversion between this string and the Java objects, because you cannot you cannot be like, I'll read this string and get the information right from here. So that will get messy, and this is a simple JSON string, but things might get things might get real crazy after a while. So you just need some kind of data. So hence we are going to create some other another model, that is image response, another class image response, and I'll show you how to create that. So, and you in order to allow JSON, that is Google's object notation, to parse your data, you need to extend some you need to extend a class that is serializable. So this is this implement serializable. So this is what allows JSON to convert your object to strings and strings back to objects, back and forth. Okay, so I'll just copy and paste information here, so and then I'll show you what how it is going to look like. So like, I'll just explain this in a bit. Okay, so just don't get overwhelmed by this, like what is going on here. So if you look closely here, this is it. We'll just import this thing, import class, import. So we'll just come here and we'll say what's going on here. So here, see, you will have a main object here. See, you have a main object which is going to contain total results page per page and next page, and you'll have a list named as photos. Okay, so what I have done, I'll show you. I have created a id, that is id, sorry, here, so we don't need any ids here. Just a second. Oh, I messed up something, I guess. Hmm. Yeah, we don't need any ids here, so we can just remove this. Well, we can remove this, of course. Okay, so okay, so image response. So this is what wait just a second, what I have done here is, oh, ID with height, page per page total results. Okay, so I need, okay, I'll just tell you what's going on. So there is this total results and page and per page, and then there is a list of photos. Okay, so just remember that. And we have created the string by the same name, so that JSON can understand that which value to put where. Okay, and then we have a list of photos, and then we have a string of string, that is next page. So this is what you see here. And I don't really want this total results because it's of no use, hence that I can omit that. And if when the JSON will be converting our objects, so it will see that, oh, there is nothing exists like uh, total results, so it will just discard that value. It will say that our programmer does not need that information. Okay, so we need this photo object. And from where does this come from? So I said that we need a list of some other objects. Okay, so there is a list because there is a another square bracket here, and this is the object because I should told you that we represent objects with this curly braces. So what does this object is going to contain? It is going to contain an id, width, height, url, photographer id, and source. And this source will contain this will again contain, this is again an object, some other different kind of object. So that's why I have done here. I have made some photo class, and it is going to contain some id, height. And don't just remember to implement serializables, so it just helps JSON to convert things. And if you want implement serializable, then it will throw some error. Okay, so uh, width, url, photographer, and url id or something like that, and light. And there is some other object, that is photo source, that is src, that is named by src. So this is your src. And what does this src contains? Original, large, x, large, medium, small, portrait, landscape, tiny. So this is your photo source, so it contains a bunch of strings. Okay, so this is how you create a class so that JSON can convert JSON strings into Java classes again. So you just have to make sure that this class exactly reflects what server is going to send. If you'll mess up with some information here, then your code is not going to work, even if you mess up some keys or some other stuff here. Okay, so if this is original, so you have to be make sure that this is original you have written here. Okay, so if this is an object, src is an object, so make sure that src is some different object which contains some different information, so that you have to mention this information right here. Okay, so this is about I guess everything is clear. Is everything clear right now? Just please tell me so that we can proceed.
Yes, sir, we can proceed.
Okay. So this is about image responses, and I'll just tell you about this. So if you'll go and see Pixel's documentation, so here it was here. This is what they say. Okay. So if you want to make some request to Pixel server, so what do they say is you have to search some information. Okay, so like we are talking about images by search. Okay, so we have to search that information and we have to query that this string exists or not, and per page how much information do we want. Okay, and there is some another optional parameter that we can that they have not mentioned is page, which page number you are on. Okay, so you just create a, what I can say, a method signature, you can say. So you will annotate this by this is related to Java, so I'm not really going deep into that. So what you will do is you will just annotate it with get, because this is the get method, and this will be the URL. Okay, so this will be the URL, and up till here this is all your base URL. Okay, so this is your base URL, and what your retrofit will do is it will concatenate this base URL with whatever you are providing here and then make the request. Okay, so this is your main URL. Okay, so this is your main URL, and then you have to query. So for that you need to pass on some parameters like query. So make sure these things are same: query, and per page, and page. Okay, so just make sure that you don't mess up with these names, because otherwise it is going to throw some errors. Okay, so we are halfway done with this, and I'll just show you how to like make a network call. And another thing is there is some other URL that they have shared. You can just go and see their documentation in the curated section, that they have uh, URL like this, and that looks like this again. So you can see that this is again the base URL. Here you just need to change this, you just need to add curated here. So I have added curated here, and this is again going to be a get request because you are fetching information from server. Okay, and this question mark represents queries. Okay, so this question mark represents queries. This is related to like web development, but you must remember that this question mark represent query, hence we are making a query. This is an again annotation, and this is again per page information. So how much images do we want per page, and you can, and of course with page, so which page of information from which page do you want. So let's say page 5. So again we need two things here, so that is page and a number. Okay, so if we are searching some image, so you of course want the user to give you some kind of text, so that you can search by that, and you want to show images from which page. So hence you need another parameter here, and how much images that you want in that particular response. So you'll add per page here. So if you'll say that 50, so per page will throw 50 objects of this image response class. So basically this is it. And how to make a network call in reality, in real. So for that, let's just jump right into, let's forget about this. Okay, so main activity. So like let's say we have this init view, and I'll just show you the main activity. This is how our main activity looks like. Where is that? um, oh sorry, this is manifest, I'm sorry. uh, this is, where is main activity? So this is our main activity. This is how our main activity looks like. Okay, so this is how our main activity looks like. Okay, so we need this recycler view first of all, so as to feed information right there. So let's say we need a recycler view, so we'll create a private object, that is recycler view, and we need to instantiate that recycler view, of course, by find view by id and r.id. So recycler view images, uh, is that the correct name? Recycler view images. Okay, so you need that. Okay, so now what's going on here is you just created, you just have this instance. Now we need to attach an adapter to this recycler. That's what I said, right? You need some kind of information to show. Uh, you need some kind of, you need an adapter to attach to this recycler. So just let's just create an instance of images recycler view that we have created, images recycler view adapter, and we'll just instantiate that images recycler view adapter is equal to new images recycler view adapter. And it just needs a context because we just passed a context here. It needs a context here. Okay, so this will just pass this because this activity is a subclass of this, and this is requiring some other stuff, I guess. Cannot be accessed. Okay, so this was not public, so that's why it was showing some error. So okay, so now what? Now we have to say that images recycler view adapter dot uh, okay, sorry, recycler view. Now how you want to show the information? You want to show a grid here, and you want to show a linear layout here. So like in contacts app, you have information one below each other. Okay, and if you have seen like music app, when you are listening to music, so there is main music here, so you can swipe horizontally. Okay, so those are all lists. So you need to set a layout manager. So how a layout manager is going to look like is what you have to define there. Okay, so what we will do is we'll just say that for example we need a staggered grid. Okay, so we'll just look into that, like what a staggered grid looks like. And we want that grid to be let's say vertical. Okay, so we want that list to be, and this will show just two things, right? um, let's say you have one object here and you have one view here. Okay, so this will just show, if you'll say this three, so this will show one view here, a second view here, and this third view here. Okay, then again three here. So basically this is your column count. Okay, so we just want two here. And what else do we need to set? And now we just need to set that recycler view dot set adapter. Make sure that you set the layout manager before setting the adapter, and just set the adapter, like this will be my adapter. And that means that for this recycler view, this adapter is going to be responsible for creating views and setting that information or data. Okay, so this is, I guess, it. And what else do we want here? We need an edit text, so as to provide search information, right? So because if somebody let's say here is our edit text. So if somebody is searching some information here, and if that guy presses enter, so we need to fetch what he has written here so that we can process that information. Okay, so we'll just again initialize our edit text by writing this edit text, find view by id r.id.edit main edit view. So this is, I guess, it, main edit view. Okay, so this is our edit text. Now edit text has a listener. I talked about listener yesterday. So edit text has a listener, on key listener. So whenever you are pressing some key on your keyboard, so it will trigger this listener, and it will say that, hey, this key has been triggered, or this key has been clicked. So do you want to do something about it or not? So we will say that on click listener, on view listener, sorry. And what is this false information or not? I'll just show you. And just a second. This so this is toast I just showed you. And Like let's just skip this, and I'll implement this function. Okay, so just bear with me. And okay, so what I'm telling you is, so whenever a key event will be triggered, okay, so what it will call this function, it's this particular function, and it will give us some basically which key has been pressed and what event it was. The guy may be long pressing that, or it may be a single tap, or that may be a double tap. So if our action is just a single tap, okay, that is action down, and if the guy has pressed enter key, okay, so that key is enter key. So then we want to extract the information that is there in this text view, sorry, edit text. So how do we extract this information? So we just say that, oh sorry, oh, what happened? Okay, so what do we say that, just we say that edit text dot get edit table text dot toString. So this is how, this is a pretty standard way that how to extract strings or information from your edit text. So this is pretty standard. So what we will say that, again we'll say that, like, make this query then. So, and what do you mean by return true? So like if we are returning true, then we are saying that, okay, I have consumed this event, so don't tell it to somebody else, or don't tell it to somebody else that like enter key has been pressed. Okay, so if we return false here, so it will say other views also, there will be multiple views, right? So it will say the other views also, like, okay, so this enter key has been pressed, so if you want to do something about it. Okay, so if you pass through here, so it will just be like key, okay, so enter key has was pressed and somebody has already done something about it. So that's just true and false. So for example, let's implement this get images by search. Okay, so how do we do this? Okay, so it will take some query. So we are just passing this information that user have written here. Okay, so what it will do is, let me just fetch that information right there. So get information by, so we'll instantiate a call image, sorry, first we need an instance of our API services. We have created some API services right here, right? And we want to call this function. So what do we do? Okay, so we'll say that API services, services is equal to API client, API client. Where is our API client? App client. Sorry, that was app client. Dot get instance dot create service API services dot class. So basically we are just calling this function. Okay, so this is create service function, and it is going to give you a retrofit instance so that we can make our function call. Okay, so and what does this API service do? So it gives back this call thing. Okay, and I'll talk about that call thing in a moment. And we just want to call this function with few parameters that we have here. So we will say that it will return some image response, image response, oh, sorry, image response. um, just a second. I'll just import this call from retrofit, of course. And what I'll do is, this will be call and API services, sorry, services, and we want to call get images by search, and we want to pass three things here. So first thing is our query. Wow, if somebody is searching for, let's say, sunset, so we'll pass sunset here so that pixels can give you this information. And this page, so let's say we want first pages information and we want 50 of them, so we'll just pass this. And how to really make a call, so we'll say that call dot in queue. So this is a new new callback. So as you can see that this whole call, network call, is going to be asynchronous. What do I mean by asynchronous? So that it is not going to respond instantaneously. Okay, so it will take some time, depending on your internet connection and some server. That's why you need some callback. So when this thing finishes, and call is just a call to a server. Okay, so there is nothing special about it. And by enqueuing a call, that you are saying that there is a call queue in this retrofit. So there is a queue that retrofit maintains, and you can just add your request here, so that we it retrofit can make request one by one. So you are just adding that to the queue, and if and it will just take items from that queue, and like make a request to the server. Okay, so you need a callback. So why do you need a callback? Because whenever server is going to respond, and you are going to and get a response, which is not going to be instantaneous, of course. So you'll say that when we have a response, this function will get called. Okay, so here we want to add that information to our main like recycler view, right? So because this is going to be our main data that we want to see in our responses. So let's say, like, we'll do some null checks. If we don't have a null response, and response is successful, of course. If a response is not successful, then we'll say that, oh, sorry, something went wrong. So we'll just say toast, like, let's say, just a second. Where is it? Just a second. Okay, so for example, let's say we just toast this, log this information. Oh, sorry. That main, this is given by main function. So we'll just say that get images by search field with some request code. So whatever information that is being shared between client and the server contains some request code. That is 200 stands for okay. You must have heard about 404, that is not found error. So regarding that, so this is just for the debugging purposes. Okay, so here we want, what do we want? Here we want is, this will give you a image response, and response dot body, we want a body. So you can see here is, there is response, image response being returned from our retrofit. So basically what's going on behind is, server must be responding us with some JSON strings. So what it is doing is, it is just converting, retrofit is just converting that response into image response class, and returning that response to us. Okay, so what do we need from here? We need to extract that metadata, right? So what we said that, in our adapter, we want this metadata class. We don't need all that information that Pixel provides us. We just need a simple URL, and we just need a photographer's name. So what we'll do is, where is that? Main activity. Okay, so main activity. So yeah, here we are. So what we'll do is, we'll just make sure that if image response is not equal to null, of course we'll just have to make some null checks. So if that is not null, what do we want to do here is, for image response dot photos, photo, um, sorry, image metadata, this will be image metadata, or what will it will be, image response dot photo, sorry, yeah, just a second. Image response dot photo. A photo is a class, you must be remembering, we made inside the image response, and we just want to extract the uh, images from that. So this gives you the list of photos, and we are just interested in that. And you, if you have seen the JSON carefully, then it gives you a list of photos. So what do we what do we want to do with that? We will just create a list, like list of image metadata. List data list is equal to new array list. Array list. Okay, so this is array list that we are creating, and we'll just import this class, and we are good to go. And now we'll just add this information to this data list. So data list dot add, and we'll add a new image metadata. And what does it take is it just take two things. So what do we need? Photo dot URL. First thing that we need is photo URL. So what does our image metadata contains? So image URL is the first thing, and second is the photographer's name. So what we'll do is not just URL, but it basically contains src dot. Let's say we want a medium sized image, so we want a medium sized URL, and photo dot photographer. This will contain a photographer's name. So we just added everything right here and then. Now we want to tell this adapter that, hey, I have got some information, and I want you to show that piece of information in that recycler view. So what I will do here is, after this whole thing get processed, I'll say that images recycler view dot adapters dot set image data, and we'll pass this. It will just pass that data. So what really happened is, we have successfully made a network call. Server responded successfully. We were able to convert this JSON into our class, and we just wanted to extract that information, because we just care about source and URL and a photographer. So what we just did is, we just iterated through that list, and we just extracted every URL and every photographer name, and we just added it to the list, and we just passed it to the recyclable adapter, so that it can show it in our view. Okay, so this is about it. Just a second, so I guess we are good to go. If some error happens, then we'll try to fix it. And for the sake, I'll just show you that this logcat contains errors. If you're not responding properly, or if your app is like crashing, so whatever information you will need regarding that crash, it will be shown here. So let me connect my Android device with this, and I'll just show you like how it is. Okay, so I have just connected my Android, and just a second, I just have everything right now, so that you guys can see. Um, a window. Your entire screen. Share. Okay, so is my screen visible to everybody? And you can just tell me. Can you guys see my phone screen? Hello, please
Yes,
inform
sir.
me. Okay, so
Yes, yes.
what I will do is, I'll just do some like, this is all garbage. I'll just compile this code once, and we will see that what happens now. And once the code starts compiling, this error will go. You saw that, right? The error went off. So this is install. This is my screen, and let's say we search for something. Okay, so let's say we search for something, and you can see here, like, this is the IME options I was talking. This is the search, because we have written the actions. So here it is showing search bar, little search here, and it is just searching. And just now we saw that extract use Excel API to do the image from the server right our mobile device. and everything seems to work fine. And this is the we was talking about. This is the recycler views view folder, and we are just able to align correct piece of information right in the recycler view. And this is the stack view. You can see like not proportional, or I must say these are not equal sizes, right? So these are different sizes. This is a first one. I'll show you what a grid look. I'll go here where we have to grid right here. Grid layout manager. Okay, so grid layout manager. So it will just show text again. Just a second. Throw some error. It requires a context. There is some error with this. It requires a context and an integer. Okay. It requires a context and an integer. Okay, span count. So this is the screen again, and I'll just show you how a grid view looks like. So this is this. So this is the grid. You can see that now this is all proportional to each other's, and you can see that this is not really, and because we have set view bounds, adapt to view bound, something like that in our image view. That's why it's trying to uh, make this image as close to these image views bound as possible. So you can see that this is our grid view, grid layout manager. So if you write here linear layout manager, so it will show the linear layout and horizontal layout. So for the example's sake, we'll just go with staggered grid layout manager. So let's again compile, and I'll just show you like say these things are working fine. So let's say like we search for something else, it will show something else. Okay, so this is it. And for the curated section, this okay, so there was some issue with that. And you can see there it is showing a photographer's name here, which you can see like in these things, these two. So this is about it. But yesterday I showed you something else, in which right now when you are starting this app, it is not showing anything right here, right? So how do we show this thing? Okay, so we have successfully made a search application. So I'll just there is similar thing going on. So I'll just copy and paste this information from here so that uh, we can save some time here. I'll just simplify this a bit. So no, I don't want to. Just a second. So yeah, this. So we need an API service again, API service class. So we'll just copy and paste this information right here, and we'll make we'll implement import null, not null. We'll say that this is tag and this is tag, and we don't need really this thing. And these is similar code to what we have already written below, that is here. And there is some things missing, so we can write this. We'll say that first page and services. Or just a second, it's showing some errors here, right here. I'll just fix that. Okay, so it's gone. So you just again it will give you some error, and we want to check for some things right here. So I'll just copy and paste this, and we'll be good to go, because everything has been structured so nicely that we don't need to see some other stuff here. So what you can see is what is curated images is in Pixels API. So what it does is it takes the top pics from that particular day and show it there. So you can just call it here so that it can write on show what like I'll just show you. Rather than talking, I'll just show you. So see, so what just happened is this is just get curated, and this is the thing that we talked about here, and it just requires a page and a number. So hence we hence we provided it with page and a number, and this is the same operation that we performed right in the get images by search. And one thing that is different is we needed a query here, like whatever user wants to search, and here we don't need anything because this is the topics of that particular day. So right after initializing this all views, and if you'll do like this, like if you'll say that like I will do this, so it there is a chance that it will throw you an error because recycler view has not been initialized yet, and you are trying to put data into that recycler view. Hence that's why I called this right after init view thing. Okay, so hence it is showing you this topics from that particular day. So whenever you'll open this app, so it will show you 50 images related to that particular day. Okay, so again the search functionality will be working. So if you search something here, so this same recycler will be updated, and you'll be able to see things here. Okay, so right before calling the session off, I just want to say that suppose you made some another